The second that creating content for yourself starts eating into your client experience is the second that you need to outsource it. It should literally never, ever, ever be a thing that makes you, for example, say you're a photographer. If you genuinely have to stop yourself before doing something for your couple to set up your phone to film content for yourself, wrong. Immediately no.
Hey there, and welcome to the Event Crushed podcast. Each week, we'll be chatting about all things wedding industry, entrepreneurship, and how to crush it in life and business. I'm so glad you're here. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the show. I'm so glad you're here. It's me, Becky, and I hope you're having a great week so far, whether you are knee-deep in wedding prep for this weekend's upcoming wedding, or maybe you are soaking up a little midweek breather. Today, I am excited to share a conversation with Mimi of Wed and Wilder, and you might recognize that name because I actually had Mimi on the show previously under her former business name of Wilder Social. She has recently rebranded to Wed and Wilder, and I just love what she's building in this next chapter. Mimi is a wedding content creator and social media manager for Wedding Pros, and she has such a grounded, refreshingly honest take on how to show up online as a business owner without burning out. Now, just a quick note, we actually recorded this conversation a couple of months ago, and since then, Instagram has come out with the Edits app, which we, of course, since it hadn't come out yet, we didn't get a chance to talk about during our conversation about favorite tools for wedding pros to use for content creation. I have been using Edits and I am a big fan. So I would definitely add that one into the mix in addition to what Mimi discusses. But everything else we dig into still absolutely holds up and is still completely relevant to today. In this episode, we're talking about the increasing pressure on wedding pros to also become content creators and how that can feel overwhelming when you're already juggling so much. We chat about mindset shifts, low-lift content ideas, tools to simplify your process, and how to know when it's time to outsource. Whether you are DIYing your socials or thinking about hiring a content creator for your next wedding or branding shoot, I think you're going to take a lot away from this one. Let's get into it. Hey, Mimi, welcome back to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Yeah, you are my first official guest to come on again, which is so exciting. And I am really excited to get into our topic today. But before we do, I love it if you would introduce yourself to our guests in case they didn't catch your first episode.
Absolutely. So my name is Mimi. I am with a company that was formerly known as Wilder Social and is now Wed and Wilder. I'm both a wedding content creator and a social media manager for wedding professionals.
Amazing. So today we're talking about, it's kind of a big topic. It's something that I have been thinking about a lot as I've just been going through life in my business. And it's based off of different conversations that I have seen online. And it's basically this idea that as wedding pros, we are more or less to stay current. It's like we're having to become content creators. And I think that can be, for some people, a really stressful idea. And just, it can feel like a lot of pressure that we're having to constantly keep up on social media by constantly putting out content in various forms. You know, that can look like videos, that can look like reels, all kinds of different things. But it's hard enough for a lot of us just to do our businesses and to keep up with all of the demands of our clients and emails, and then adding in like being a content creator on top of that can feel pretty overwhelming at times. And so I just kind of wanted to have a conversation with you, since you are both a social media manager and a content creator. I thought that you just have a really unique perspective on this. And you also work directly with wedding pros. So I was like, you know what, Mimi is the perfect person to talk about this with. So where I want to start with this is basically, I would love to hear your thoughts on how we got to this point, I guess, of feeling like we need to be content creators now just to stay afloat and just to continue to market our businesses. Like, why do you think that it has evolved that way? And then on top of that, why do you think it's important for wedding pros to embrace content creation, even if it does feel overwhelming? Like, why should we still consider doing this anyway, even if we are feeling a bit overwhelmed?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the way that we really got here is actually because of the oversaturated amounts of content that we consume every single day and have for like probably the past 9, 10 years. It's just gotten to a point where there is so much content out there that what people want to see has evolved, and it's not just kind of everything. Like, people want to know who you are at the end of the day, and they want to form that human connection. And so I think that's kind of led us to where we are, is that a pretty picture really isn't enough anymore. And I mean, if you think about it too, like, it's kind of been that way. You have someone inquire because they saw your pretty pictures on the internet, but you hop on that discovery call with them to see them face to face, to create that connection and to like make the sale at the end of the day. I think when it comes to making sure it doesn't feel overwhelming, that's a really hard question, because even as a social media manager, like, I still get overwhelmed sometimes, like it is a lot and it's a lot to do. But I think if you are doing it yourself, positioning yourself as like, I get to show off my work. Like, I created this really cool thing, whether it's a photo or an event design or a floral design, like, you created that. And like, people should see that. People should know how creative you are, how badass you are. Like, you should want to brag about that. So I think maybe like stopping the mindset of like, oh, I have to perform for others, and really just kind of making it something that you're doing for yourself is really, really helpful.
I love that. I love that mindset shift. Like, yeah, switching it up from, oh, I have to do this, I have to perform, but reframing it to like, I get to share this super cool, creative, beautiful work that I do. And I know that in a past episode that I did with Danison, I don't know what number it is, but I'll find out. I'll put it in the show notes. We talked about that, like how if we are excited to put our content out there, like that will really come across, and then other people will see that and they'll be excited. But if we're like, just like, you can tell when somebody is doing something just because they think they're supposed to. Like, it just feels very different. It feels more forced. But if it's coming from a place of excitement and like, look, I'm so happy that I get to share this with my audience and potential clients, like, that comes across. So I think that's a great reminder.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's a couple different kind of sides we can take with this. And on the one hand, I'm completely empathetic, and I understand why the idea of having to continually put out this content, and, there's so many trends and things that we feel like we need to keep up with. But at the same time, I feel like we're living in a cool time when there's so many tools available to us that can really take a lot of the stress and the overwhelm out of it. And so, some of the ones that came to mind for me were like Canva and ChatGPT or AI, apps like CapCut or NG for marketing. Like, there's so many great tools these days. And so I was curious if you could share like any of your favorite tools that you use for your clients to help with their social media and content creation, just any tools that you like to use.
Yeah, absolutely. Canva and CapCut are like the two it girls for me when it comes to content creation. I cannot, like, those subscriptions will be coming out of my bank account until the day I retire, and possibly beyond that. But in my opinion, those two are non-negotiable. They will absolutely make your life easier. They're user-friendly. There's 1.5 million tutorials out there on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, where you can find out how to use them and use them well. And CapCut, I really love CapCut because they are always coming out with new features, and they always like beta test them. So if you don't have the pro subscription, you can literally try them out and see if it makes sense for you and kind of learn how to use them. And I feel like they just make it easy. They have so many templates in there that you can just plug and play your content to make real, something like that. So those are probably my like two go-tos for actual content creation. Content management, Rella. That is my girl. I actually do have a discount code if you want to include that for everyone in the like description, but Rella is what I use to manage my clients' content and organize it, schedule it out. You can actually auto post through Rella as well. So if you really don't have it in you to like get on Instagram at 9 a.m. every single morning and get up that reel, Rella will do it for you. And as someone who's been doing social media management for 10 years now, I have worked with all the scheduling platforms. I've worked with them all, and I have hated every single one of them until Rella came around. It was created by this girl, Natalie, and her business partner, and she's also a social media manager. So I feel like she just kind of knew what was lacking in these other platforms. And it's so user-friendly. It's so clean and straightforward. It really just makes things so much easier, in my opinion.
That is amazing. I've never heard of Rella. Like this is a new one to me. So I'll definitely include that discount code in the show notes and we will get that out to everybody. I just pulled up the website because I'm like, I've literally never heard of this. So I love learning about new things. So thank you for bringing this to my attention. I obviously love Canva. I just started using CapCut and I feel like the elder millennial that I am because it's kind of taken me a little bit. I was trying to do it on my computer and then I was trying to do it on my phone and it seemed like they're very different based off of where you're using it. And so I definitely have been watching some videos of like how to do things. So it's been funny because I feel like I usually pick things up pretty quickly, but there's been a little bit of a learning curve with CapCut, which is also hilarious because before I started using it for my business, my 8-year-old daughter at one point had it on my phone and she was making all these videos with like our dog and like all these just hilarious random things. So like she had it figured out way back when and I'm like over here struggling.
No, it's definitely a little tricky at first. Even as someone who's on the cusp of being a millennial and Gen Z, definitely it took me a minute to get used to it. And the desktop version and the phone version are very different.
Yeah.
I really like the desktop for like long form video and picture based reels. So I like when I've edited photographers' content, I really like doing it on desktop because you can make all the clips the same length within like 2 steps. Very easy. But I would recommend sticking to the mobile app if you're just doing like casual little reels because it is a lot easier to use on the desktop.
Okay, that's good advice. Yeah, it really threw me for a loop because I was trying to like do it on the computer and then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it on my phone, but I couldn't do the things that I was doing and it was a little strange. So I will stick with the phone app. The next thing I wanted to ask you is what are some kind of low lift content ideas that you would recommend wedding pros who want to stay visible and relevant that they could commit to that are not as like high effort? Something that's just a little simpler and easier to get out there.
Absolutely. So probably my first tip is just making sure that you have a variety of quality B-roll. And whether that's like a slow panning video or just one stuck in one spot watching like, guests mingle or something like that, making sure those clips are also like around 10 seconds every time too. Very key. If you're filming a bunch of 2-second clips, like you're going to have to put a bunch of clips together or try to like mess with CapCut slow-mo to make it actually look good and not like super choppy. So longer B-roll, quality B-roll, and that way you can do like a single shot video. Hook wise and like actual topic wise, I find inspirational reels to be really, really easy. The possibilities there are endless and the inspiration's already in your pre-existing content. Like it's in your work as, for example, let's say that you're a florist and you have an entire wedding that was blue and white themed. You can do a point of view reel and be like, point of view. You told your florist that you wanted your wedding florals to remind you of Mykonos. You can do just kind of like a reel that gets like people thinking, like you asked your florist to design with blue and white. Literally something as simple as that. Because the thing is that it doesn't have to be complicated. The people who, for lack of a better term, matter, who are viewing your reels are couples, and they don't need to know your entire creative process. They don't want to know that. And on the flip side of things, they also don't know things about the floral industry. So like making things really simple and kind of like dumbing them down is a really good strategy. Things that you're like, well, everyone knows that. Not everyone knows that. Use it to your advantage.
Yeah, that's super smart. I love that idea. Just making things simple and putting it into clearer terms. Like it might seem obvious to us. I think a lot of wedding pros struggle with that a little bit because we're like, well, we just know it and that's just how it is. But like couples who are getting married for the first time, they don't know. And like, I had one of my brides just ask me, she was like, what does HMUA stand for again? And I was like, oh, hair and makeup artist. We just assume that people know these things, but there's so many acronyms and, that could be a whole reel. Here's a bunch of acronyms and here's what they mean so that when you're planning your wedding, you can figure these things out. But yeah, I think that's just a really good reminder for all of us that we shouldn't assume that couples know these things because it's their first wedding, most likely. And why would they? Why would they know what HMUA means?
Literally.
Okay. Have you seen any shifts in what couples like actually care about in content lately? I know you just gave us some great ideas, but are there any messaging angles or types of posts that you think are resonating more right now in 2025?
Absolutely. I think the posts that shows people like who you are and you as a person and your personality, I think those resonate along with inspirational reels because inspirational reels, if we're going to be honest, are always going to resonate well in the wedding industry. There's constantly this ebb and flow of couples getting married and then they're done. And then they get engaged and they start the process. So like you can never repeat that too much. But I find now like being a person and showing that off in your content is very effective right now. Again, there's just too much content out there. There's one too many reels of pretty pictures, pretty videos that are just fluff content. So mixing in some personality, whether it's a talking reel or just like some kind of silly trend, I just did one yesterday where literally it's just like a clip of me granted, I have a second phone right now, so I was able to do this easily, but I leaned my phone up against something and filmed myself filming content at a wedding. And just put like this silly little reel that's like, or the hook that was like, my nervous system doesn't know the difference between like a small typo in your caption or a grizzly bear chasing me in the springtime, which if you know grizzly bears is not a good time to get chased by one. And it was just like so silly and goofy. And like, I just kind of talked about how social media causes anxiety for people sometimes. And it has like 2,000 views, which isn't a ton, but for a girl with 700 followers, it's a very good engagement rate. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love the inspirational reels or just like inspirational content in general. Cause like you said, couples are going to be continually getting engaged. Like it's not like we have the same clients, like we are constantly cycling through. And so that kind of content will always do really well because there's always going to be people coming in and wanting to get inspired for their wedding day. So that is
literally,
a great idea.
Always.
Which is great for us.
Oh, yeah.
All right. How can a wedding pro determine whether they should handle content creation themselves or if they should bring in a professional like you? Are there any kind of telltale signs that they might be ready to hire someone to help with that? Or when would they know that it's time?
The second that creating content for yourself starts eating into your client experience is the second that you need to outsource it. It should literally never, ever, ever be a thing that makes you, for example, say you're a photographer. If you genuinely have to stop yourself before doing something for your couple to set up your phone to film content for yourself, wrong. Immediately no. There are so many tools out there too to be able to get good content without having that happen. You have chest harnesses. You can literally wear the strap and put your phone on your chest. That's great content. They have camera mounts for iPhones where you can literally mount your camera onto the top of, or your iPhone onto the top of your camera while you're shooting so you can see what you're seeing. Meta Ray-Bans, fabulous. They are wonderful. The quality is chef's kiss, but if that is getting to a point where that kind of BTS doesn't work for you, or you feel like you want more action shots of you actually doing your job, or, you want to get mic'd up and like have yourself talking in the back of this reel or like showcase how you talk to people, I would hire someone. I think there's like a conception that content creators just kind of get in the way, and like bad ones do 100%. No doubt about it. But if you hire someone that's a professional, and like you should be vetting people that you want to hire and bring with you to a wedding day, they know how to do their job in a way that's very demure. It's very relaxed and natural. It doesn't feel like a production set, because that's exactly what we don't want our clients to feel like. At least for the most part. So if you want to have more content with you actually doing your job in it, then I think it's a good idea to hire someone just because, again, it really should never, ever, ever affect your client experience.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And like you said, there are some awesome tools. I've seen photographers have the thing on their camera
Mhm.
where they put their phone, and I think that's so fantastic because it's like 2 for 1, like double whammy. So yeah, and the Meta glasses are so cool. Like I want some of those,
I want them. I mean,
right?
it would be so cool for me as a content creator, like to literally film myself doing this. Like that would look sick. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
absolutely. Yeah, I have a branding shoot coming up and it's my first time bringing in a content creator. So I am very excited, but I was like, it's just a must because I'm already spending so much on this shoot. And like, there's so many just like details and things. And I'm like, I would just regret it if I didn't have that. So I think it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited.
Oh my God. I literally cannot wait to see.
Yay. Me too. I know it's this weekend. So I'm sure I'll be sharing all the things. Okay, so you had mentioned vetting your content creator, and I'm sure the same with a social media manager. So if somebody is considering outsourcing and bringing somebody in either to do content creation or managing social media, what should they look for in that person? How can they vet that person and make sure that they're finding somebody that's going to be a good match for them?
I think it's really similar to hiring like a main player on your wedding day. When you hire a photographer, you want to see a full wedding album because you want to see what their full scope of work basically looks like. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to a content creator and a social media manager. In addition to their experience and workflow, I think asking about all of these things is really, really crucial because A, it's going to give you a gauge if that person is what they're talking about. Like you're going to know if they're just spitting out words that they think make sense for this job. But seeing their experience, if you're hiring a social media manager, they should have case studies or be able to at least like tell you about their client growth. Asking, I think, about their workflow is really important for both, as a content creator, like everyone is different in content creation. I know of content creators that do like to pose couples and be a little bit more hands-on. I personally don't feel like that's the point of being a content creator. I feel like you're looking for candid moments. So that's like a big difference. If you want someone that's more hands-on and is going to pose you or look for these specific shots, like you want someone that does that. But I, for example, don't take that approach. So if you want the candid moments and also the big moments, of course, because like I'm not going to miss that just because it's not candid, but like,
Mhm.
it's important to kind of get a gauge on their style and how they work. And with social media managers, like knowing when content approvals, when you can expect to see that, or like how you have to do that, how their content calendar works, how they post even. There's a big difference, in my personal opinion, between a social media manager that manually posts their content and one that schedules their entire calendar out. And also contracts too. Like I've seen a lot of people get into sticky situations with social media managers because they have like really crazy, almost like malicious contracts, I guess you could
Mm.
say, where like you don't really have an easy way out or something like that. I think that's really important as well. So just making sure they're experienced and they actually know what they're doing. I personally, like, I have a simple but thorough contract. Like, it protects the both of us, but it's not anything like 20 pages long. And while I have everyone commit to a certain amount of time, like initially it's 3 months, and then after that point, you can sign on for longer. But having a way to kind of make sure you're a good fit, like making sure that professional as a social media manager can make sure that you will work well together is important. Like having them pressure you to immediately sign to like 6 or 12 months would be a big red flag for me.
Mm.
And also not a virtual assistant, please. Please don't hire virtual assistants to be a social media
Oh, gotcha.
manager. They can probably help with content creation, but like
Mhm.
a social media manager is a totally different job. And I only say that with as much conviction as I just did is because I am currently rehabbing someone's Instagram who was being run by a virtual assistant. And like the effort was there, but the execution and strategy did not exist. So
Mm.
please hire professionals.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great tip. And I feel like before the rise of social media managers becoming really popular, it probably was more common to just like have your VA help with your social media or whatever. But now it's like we have so many great people who are dedicated to social media specifically, and that's always the way to go.
Absolutely.
There's several new content creation companies popping up here in Oregon, which is really exciting, but they're mostly like they're new. And so they don't have these like vast portfolios and stuff yet. So obviously a lot of them are like working towards that. But the company that I'm bringing on for this branding shoot, they are newer, but like it's two girls and they are so professional and like they've been so great to work with so far. They had me jump on a call with them and we talked about the whole shoot and what I'm wanting out of it and just all these different ideas, and it's been just really fun working with them so far. So I've been really impressed, like even though they're newer, like they definitely are getting after it. And
I love that.
yeah.
I will say that's another thing to consider too. You just made me think of it. Is how they deliver their product.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you how many of my clients have hired a content creator to come work with them and they deliver it in a shared iCloud album. Not the vibe. Not the vibe.
What should it be?
I would say Google Drive is my favorite, like a Google Drive Dropbox kind of format. No shared albums because the quality gets funky, it transfers funky. And like, I mean, what are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be in your phone and to download it, you'd have to download all of those pictures and transfer them to a drive at that point, a mess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. See, I wouldn't have even thought about that. So,
Yeah, that's an important one that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough because my poor planner client of mine has done this twice now where content creators have delivered that way. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And all in HDR. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yikes. Are there any misconceptions that you have seen or heard that wedding pros have about hiring a content creator? I mean, it's still relatively new. And so a lot of people still haven't done it yet. And maybe they have hesitations. What would you say to that?
I think the biggest misconception is that we're literally just like in the way. And again, like a bad content creator will be in the way 100%. You just really have to, again, go back to those vetting points and see how people work and just make sure they're professional. You know what I mean? Like, it's not enough to be good at holding an iPhone anymore. It's really not. Like, there's a degree of professionalism at weddings that's a non-negotiable, and you will know, I feel like, when it's a good person. And if not, then you just spread the word, to be honest with you. Like, it's the same way we do as wedding pros when we work with a horrible planner or a horrible photographer. Like, content creators shouldn't be treated differently. Like, if someone does a bad job, people need to know about that. You know what I mean? Also, I feel like another misconception is that people feel like if they hire a content creator, they'll only get like a few edited reels back. Again, I can't really speak for everyone. I would assume no one does that, but I mean, I give any clip I've taken that day with you, like you get back from me in addition to the edited reels that you get in my package as well. So I think also just making sure that you know what you're getting out of the experience is really important. I think there's just a lot of, I mean, to be frank, uneducated and insecure a bit wedding pros right now when it comes to the wedding content creator conversation, which I think is silly, but it is what it is as humans. So
yeah, definitely. It's still new. Like people are still kind of figuring everything out and like how content creators fit into this whole world. But I've been hopeful at just, things I've seen recently. I feel like I was seeing a lot of the like hostile stuff of like, oh, like you're saying, like they're in the way or they're, but I feel like it's what I've been seeing anyway lately has been more positive toward content creators because I think people are seeing the value that they're bringing. And it's like, oh, like this is from a wedding pro perspective, having a content creator at like an epic wedding that I'm doing and then having all of that content and having that pressure off of myself because truthfully, like normally it's me and I'm the one going around getting all the videos or I'm passing it off to my intern or something. But like having the pressure off and just being like, I literally am just here to do my job. I don't have to try to like capture the entire day also on my phone. Like that's awesome.
literally, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a relief, I think, for all vendors at the end of the day. And if you work together, then like, obviously we'll all share our work. The only time I haven't shared my work is when people are unkind or assuming and again, rude. Um, but it's a great thing. And I probably see a little bit more of the negative stuff because it is my industry. I'm also on threads like way too often. And so I can literally name their usernames. This is how often I see them talking about wedding content creators. And
Oh no.
I'm like, boys, are we feeling a little insecure today? Because both of you have way too many followers to be complaining this much about wedding content creators. Like it's someone with an iPhone, respectfully.
Right.
To myself too. Like my work is great, but I'm
Yeah.
on an iPhone.
Yeah, it's not the same thing, and nobody's like coming for your job.
And the thing is that no one's saying it's the same thing. Like the only people that compare it and like use that phrasing are photographers and videographers. No content creator is like, yeah, you should actually hire me instead of a
Right.
videographer. Like no one is doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the cardinal rule of wedding content creation.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be wild stuff on threads, but what can we do?
Girl, you were telling me I am on that app way too much.
Oh yeah, me too.
I love it. Love it. You kill it on threads, Becky.
Oh,
I
thank you.
see you. Your posts go off. I'm like, yes.
Thank you. It's been fun. I feel like I found a good niche of what I want to post. And when I share those kind of posts, they've been doing really well. And it's usually just like relatable or kind of just like encouragement for wedding pros. And like, that's what I love. That's what I love. So, yeah.
Exactly. I love it.
Okay. I have a few more questions for you. We're going to see if we can squeeze them in here in the next like 5-ish minutes. So let's see how we do. I feel like all these are such broad questions, but you're doing a great job dealing with all my questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. A lot of wedding pros post just to like check that box. Like, okay, I did my Instagram post today. Now I can move on. It's like this thing that they're supposed to do on the checklist. A lot of times I find that doing it just for posting doesn't get results because we're not really doing it for the right reason. We're just like doing it to check off the box. So, what would you say is the key to creating content that actually converts followers into inquiries?
This is such a tricky question
I know.
because, despite the fact that we are all wedding pros and we are all in the same industry, there are so many different sectors of this industry that content's really going to depend on what sector you're in. But I would say like general ground rule, show up, let people know who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. And also like, again, letting people know you. Give people a reason to feel connected to you and not just shown something.
Yeah. I wrote down what you said because you just like perfectly summed up marketing. So you said, show up, let people know who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. Yes, that's it. That's the answer.
That's the one. I know. I have to give credit to my girlie, Sam Schmidt, because I was in her scale school last year and she reiterated that so many times. And I have never heard a truer statement in my life. So,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds so simple when you say it that way because there's a million different ways to do that, right? Like there's a million different ways to show up and to share that message, which is exciting, but also like that can be overwhelming because it's like, well, which direction do I want to go with that? But I think like I hope that people find freedom in that because there isn't one answer. It's not like you have to do it this way. Like how does it feel good to you to show up and to share, who you are, what you do and who you do it for? Whenever you can find that sweet spot, that's where like the magic happens because that's when you start to enjoy it. And it's so simple when you break it down that way, but it's just always a good reminder.
Yep. Taking that step back and just like making it simple is the best step. Because we can get so in our heads about what you want to say and who you want to see it and how you want to say it and all this stuff. But like, just go back to the 3 main points. I literally have a whiteboard over here that you can't see. And it has those 3 things written down. And whenever I feel overwhelmed with my content, which is often because I focus on others, I just look at it and I'm like, okay, like this is who I need to talk to today.
That's so good. I love that. We should all write that on a little whiteboard. That's a great idea. So, okay, what advice would you give to somebody who, I don't know, I'm thinking of a person who's like, just might feel like they're late to the party in terms of content creation and just having a really solid presence on social media. Like maybe they see their competitors already like crushing it in this area. And they're like, oh, like, how am I going to catch up? Or what can I do to be at that same level? Do you have any encouragement for that person? Is it too late? Should they just give up?
I think something that's really important to remember is that Jeff Bezos started Amazon at the age of 30 in 1994. 1994. So he was 30 years old, theoretically out of his prime, and he worked for probably a solid 20 years before Amazon even became remotely close to the company it is today. 20 whole years. So he was nearly 50 years old by that point. So I don't think that there is such thing as being too late to the party. I think you might just be a bit early for whatever it is that you might be trying to accomplish. But, you know, one thing I tell people when they inquire for me with social media management is that at the end of the day, like, we are all on a platform that we have no control over unless your name is Adam Mosseri or Mark Zuckerberg. I am neither of those two people. You are neither of those two people. So it's always changing. There's never a party to be late to. It's just whenever you decide to show up.
Oh, I love that. There's never a party to be late to. It's just when you decide to show up.
Snap.
That's great.
Put it
That's
on a bumper
perfect.
sticker, baby.
Yes, I love it. Okay. No, that's great. That's exactly along the lines of what I was hoping you would say. So you nailed it. Okay, this next one might be a little bit of a hot take. If you could wave a magic wand and get every wedding pro to stop doing one thing in social media, what would it be?
There are so many answers to this question.
Lay it on me.
I think I'm going
I'm
to have
so
to name
curious.
two. I'm going to
Okay.
have to name two.
Okay, I'm good with that.
The first one, which would seem obvious, but again, my time on Threads has shown me it is not. Please stop talking shit about your couples.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Past couples, current couples, I don't care. Theoretical couples, stop talking shit about them. The internet is a free place and almost everyone is on it, including your couples. The second one is, please, for the love of God, stop joining engagement pods. Like, even if it's not called formally an engagement pod, being like, wedding pros, let's all join together and like each other's content. That is an engagement pod. Instagram knows what they are. They look out for them. They recognize those patterns and behavior, and they will knock your content down in the algorithm because of that. I actually have to add a third one on here.
Okay.
I've seen these posts go around specifically in the wedding industry for too many months. Y'all, the posts that say, comment a note with your name and business or whatever it is. No one can see those notes except for people that already follow you.
Oh, really?
Yep. Only people that follow you can see those notes. So all that
I didn't know that.
is boost the posters content in the algorithm. It does literally nothing for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've never done that because I knew that the purpose of the person posting it is doing it to get their stuff boosted. And I'm like, I don't really think it helps anyone else out, but maybe it does because I keep seeing them. So I was like, maybe I'm missing something here.
You are not missing a single thing, Becky.
And then, okay, I didn't know that engagement pods were still a thing. That's like old school. Like that makes me think like back in the day. I didn't know this is still going on.
I have seen it so many times and I'm like, there's no way we are back here. Like, there's no way we've made it back full circle.
We've come so far. We're going in like
so far.
circles now.
I know. And people like, it's so funny the way they phrase it. They're like, guess what I just thought about? We should do this. And I'm like, what? Like, we have been over this.
This is not a new idea.
No.
Oh, that's so funny. So I have one to add, or I'm just going to ask you about it. It's kind of like the engagement pod. I think it's like a message, like a direct message that says, hey, me and these accounts are doing this thing where I don't even know how it works. I've gotten the message so many times and I got one recently. And it's like, if you want to be a part of it, like copy and paste and then send this to 5 more people. Like, it's like one of those old school, like email chains, but like
that's what it reminds me of. You remember like those old like text message chains you used to send to like 30 people and it had like all these emojis and stuff, or the, it comes around every single year at Christmas time, the gift or the book exchange thing. And they're like, copy and paste the status and we'll have the biggest book exchange in the world. Y'all, people are just collecting your information online for free. You are willingly letting them take your information.
Yeah, it's like that, but it's basically to get like engagement. It's to get more followers. It's like a follow train. I don't know. I don't do it, but I like get those messages sometime and I'm like, aren't we past this?
Because the thing is that like in our industry, most industries, followers don't matter. They
Mhm.
literally do not matter. And again,
Yeah.
we have this constant ebb and flow of couples getting engaged, planning a wedding, getting married, moving on.
Mhm.
And so like, people who have gotten that many followers have probably gone viral a couple of times and they've probably seen, however many followers gained. I mean, I had a client's reel go viral recently. It has 1.8 million views on it. And
Wow.
I have to check because the number of followers he gained is so ridiculous that I want to make sure it's accurate because it continues to rise.
Wow.
We have gotten 876 new followers from this one reel.
Whoa.
So imagine if it goes like mega viral, you're talking like 5, 10 million views. You're getting thousands of followers from that, and they're all dead weight.
Mm.
I mean, I'm going to use the word all there because like 90% of those people will never book him for
Mm.
videography. And I talk about this with my clients all the time. Like going viral really isn't what you think it is. My
Yeah.
notifications on his account are still 100% inundated from this reel, and we posted it 3 weeks ago now. So it's just not followers. They don't matter. You don't need 1.5 million wedding pros following you either by force. Like, because they aren't buying from you. They might
Mhm.
refer you, but I refer
Yeah.
people who I don't even follow because I've just seen their work or I've met them in person and like they're good people. People
Mhm.
will refer you if you're a good professional.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. Okay, well, my last question is kind of on the flip side of what we just talked about. So you gave me some great hot takes on like what you do not want to see. But on the flip side, if wedding pros could start doing one thing today that you think would make a big impact on their visibility or on their engagement, what would you suggest?
I would say showing up on stories right now is really, really effective.
Mhm.
Showing up on stories is great. And that is with like, and I encourage you to not do that every day. Like,
Mm.
show up on stories one day, post a handful of stories, give it a day or two, show up again. And it's little things that you can do here. Like I, for example, this morning went to a coffee shop, took a cute picture of my laptop and my coffee and the world's best ham and cheese croissant, mind you. And I just posted my to-do list. And like it has so many likes. I got a bunch of responses. I tagged the people who I'm doing stuff with today. Everyone reposted that. And so,
Mhm.
that content's getting seen by people. And stories are just casual. I think it's sometimes people hop on Instagram and they don't feel like doom scrolling through the feed. So they just hop
Mhm.
into stories and go through. It's a very easy, natural feeling way for people to engage with you and see your stuff and start conversations too.
Mhm.
So I'm going to break your rule again. And I know I gave 4 examples for the last one. I'm only going to give 2, which my next one is y'all, please let people DM you. I see so
Mm.
many wedding pros that are like, no DMs, only inquire through my website. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. DMs are a part of your algorithm.
Mm.
That engagement counts when it goes to like how your content shows up on the feed. So not allowing people to DM you is just, you're
Mm.
hurting your own self.
Ooh, I am so glad you said that. I have like a lot to say about this. So I'm going to try to keep it short because we're already at 47 minutes. Crap.
Just 2 yappers
um,
yapping away.
but, oh, okay. So for multiple reasons, you should let people DM you because one, like in addition to what you just said, which is brilliant, I don't think I've ever even really thought about that. But if you're telling people, right off the bat, like, don't DM me. You have to go do this. Like, you're putting a roadblock in the way of like making a potentially like a really easy sale. Like, if somebody's ready to DM you, like, just let them reach out to you. And then from
Right.
there, you can talk to them and then figure out a way to take the process off of Instagram. Cause I think that's what people are wanting is like, they're like, I don't want another way for people to contact me, but you're potentially losing money by doing that. I'm totally with you. I think people absolutely need to allow people to DM them because I think it could be costing them money and sales. And then the stories thing. I love stories so much. Stories, if it wasn't for stories, I would probably just be completely failing at Instagram because I haven't been as present on my feed, but I'm in stories. I rarely, I mean, you were saying don't post every day. I probably post in stories every day. But if you do, from what I understand, if you let it expire and then you post, that helps like boost. Is that true? Because I've definitely heard that.
Mosseri said it's not true.
Oh,
Mosseri's a
interesting.
liar.
Oh, she said it here.
I I always wonder if this man sees the things that I say about him because I'll like casually DM him when he's doing his Ask Me Anythings or whatever. And I'm nice sometimes. Sometimes I'm not nice. But I do tweet him on or threads him a lot.
Mm,
But he said that it doesn't matter. I disagree with that. I
mm,
degress. I have found when I consistently have stories up, less people see them. And when I let it expire and like give it a solid like 6 to 12 hours after it expires,
hmm.
that boost goes right up.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's because that's been my personal experience
Mhm.
too. So I was like, I think it's true. It works for me, but interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I think if you don't have the bandwidth to like post on the feed or do reels, at least be on stories. Views on stories lately have been off the charts. I don't know about you, but like my story views have been crazy. And I'm like, what am
Oh
I
yeah.
doing? I'm not posting anything very exciting. I'm just posting like random, but like my dog, and you know what I mean? Like just
Oh
life
yeah.
stuff. And people love that. And also, one final thing, you mentioned that story that you shared today. That is such a simple thing to do. I used to do this a lot. I just don't think about it. But like when I would share, here's my to-do list, and then you tag all the people, and then all those people share it. And then in the one that you shared today, I mean, you had just mentioned like, podcast interview later with Event Crush. That got me a few followers because I clicked on, these people. I'm like, who are y'all? And you were the only like connection point. So I was like, they came from Mimi. So anytime you post something and tag other people, like that is an opportunity for other people to find you, to find them. It's just such a cool way to connect people. And so I don't know. I just love it. I love stories. I could talk about stories all day, but
I know. And it's like, it's literally like the same thing as the reason why you tag vendors when you post about a wedding. Like you want
mhm,
people to share it.
exactly. Exactly. Yes. Oh, well, I know we could go on and on, but
I
alas,
know.
we should call it. But Mimi, where can my listeners find you and connect with you online?
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram at Wed and Wilder. That's also my website, wedandwilder.com. And I do allow DMs. You are welcome to contact me in any way that makes sense for you.
I love it. That'd be so hilarious if you were like, and also don't DM me.
Like, actually,
Yes.
never do that. I don't want to talk to anyone ever. I don't want any leads through Instagram. I hate making money.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming back on again. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure that we will be chatting again soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Becky.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Event Crushed podcast. I hope you found value in this episode, and if you did, please consider sharing it with a wedding industry friend. We also hope you'll consider leaving a rating or review for the show to help other listeners find it. This podcast is edited and produced by Ace Sound Design. If you're looking to elevate your audio experience, their info can be found in the show description. As always, thank you for listening, and please connect with us on Instagram if you haven't already. Now get out there and crush it.